Hello, welcome to this video on the Topcon Civil 3D briefcase. I'm going to be going through each of the tools in the briefcase. So to get started, we're going to come up here to the ribbon. We're going to click on the TSS Civil 3D briefcase. We're going to start over here on the left-hand side. And the first thing is add station offsets. Right now, you can't get a station offset of a point in a table in Civil 3D. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on Add Station Offset. And a dialog box comes up, and here we got four options: a selection, all, group, numbers. What I'm going to do is just a selection. So let's just go in here and I'll grab a selection. I'm going to say let's grab these 3 points right there, okay? 15, 16, and 17. Then I can select the alignment. So the alignment I'm going to use is this one right here. So that is road B, and I can also do a secondary alignment if I wanted to, but I don't want to do that. Let's go into the settings real quick. And in the settings here, we can specify a prefix or a suffix. So right now, I'm just using a suffix, so an L for the left side and an R for the right side. So we're going to OK this, and we're going to go OK. And now I've actually added a station offset to this. And to prove it, I'm just going to create a table. So let's go in and add table. Let's go point table. And it's going to bring up a dialog box. And in here, I'm going to select the station offset table. I'm going to select some points. So it's 15, 16, and 17 I did earlier. And I'm just going to go OK. So this is going to create a point table here. It's quite large there. And I'm going to go ahead and make some changes to this. So if I grab this point, which was 16, and I grab it and I move it, you'll see that the station and the offset automatically change. So it's all dynamic. So if I move the alignment in any way, the points would also update. Okay. So that's that first tool there, add station offset to points. The next tool is extract blocks from points. So this is kind of the old school LAN desktop days where you used to have a symbol or a block that would come in with the point. Right now they're all in one. So if I grab this point and I move it, then the symbol goes and the label goes. So what we wanted to do is, for the old school, we want to be able to extract out these blocks, and then I can turn off the points if I really wanted to. To do this, we're just going to come up here to extract blocks from points. We're going to go selection again, so I'll just say those 3 points right there. And then you have the option of where you're going to throw the layer. Extract to a current layer, extract to the point layer, or extract to point style layer. Okay? Either one, I'll go the style. We're just going to go OK. And now if I click on this point and I move it, you'll see that I'm leaving the symbol behind. Now this symbol comes with it, but I'm actually leaving a block. So if you want to turn off the points, you can, and the symbol will stay in. It's just an AutoCAD block. So that's the extract blocks from points. The add subtract surface, I'm going to jump into a completely different drawing here. So let's go to the add subtract surface. So what this does is I've got two surfaces in here. I have an original ground surface, and then I've got this small surface here, which is actually my borehole data. And as you can see here, I've got some elevation, negative 1.25, negative 2.89. So that's the depths. It's not an elevation, it's a depth. So my surveyors or my soil analysis, they went out and they just gave me a depth. So they've created these points. So I've now created a surface based on these depths. And so when I hover over a blank area here, you'll see what the EG surface is at 95.55. And then my silt surface is at a negative 1.66, when really it should be negative 1.66 off of the 95.55. So that's what the add and subtract surface does. So if I go ahead and grab add and subtract surface, it says, what's your first surface? So I'm going to say it's my XG. And what I want to do is I want to add, or you could subtract it, I want to add in this silt surface to it, and I'm going to union them together. Meaning I want to create a new surface, and I want to put them together. And I'm going to say this is my new EG. Okay, that's a new surface. And I'm not going to worry about the contours here. I'm just going to hover over and show you in a moment anyway. So I'm just going to go OK. And it's gone through. It's calculating the boundaries, the surface. This will take a few seconds here. All right, so it's all done. So now if I hover over this surface here, now you're going to see there's a 95.47 and a 93.78. And if you take off the 95.47 1.47, subtract out 1.69, we should be there at the 93.78. And so I've now created this new surface. This is taking out the elevations from that silt. Now I could have actually just created its own surface at that elevation if I wanted to also. Okay, so that's the add and subtract surfaces. I'm going to go into grading now. So I'm going to jump back into my original model here. And off to the side here, I have a polyline. So I'm just going to move this polyline over here for a moment. Let's just move it over here. And I've already got elevations set to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here to create grading. And at the command line, it says select your entity. So that's my polyline. Then it says select which side. So I'm going to grade to the outside. Then it asks me to pick my start point. So I can actually pick and say I want to transition around, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to press enter. And you can see it automatically grades. And what it's done there is it's graded by a template. So my default template at the moment is building pad. And the building pad is telling it, saying I'm going to do an offset and a slope. My slope is a percentage. I'm going to go a negative 10% for 25 feet. Then I'm going to grade to the existing ground surface at a 2-to-1 slope and cut and a 3-to-1 for fill, and I'm grading to that existing ground surface. Now, I can change this if I wanted to. So here I could say, well, before I build this thing, I don't really want to go out 25 feet. I'm going to say 10 foot. Okay, so if I click on there, and you see it change automatically. So we're doing all this at one time. Now I might go ahead and save this. Let's go ahead and save this. And I'm going to call this one building pad 2. And so now I've just created another one of those. So I can just create templates of these. Now, just showing you some other things in here. We can draw the grading surface, and we can specify the style that we're going to use in here. So I'm going to use this style. Then we can do the infill automatically. So this will create the infill here. If I go into options, there's a couple things that we've added in this latest release is the enable grips. Okay, so that's a key one in here. And then we can group the grading entities together. And so we can create one entity there instead of 3 separate ones. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go OK here. And I'm going to go OK. And it's going to go through. And there it's gone through and created this surface. So if I grab the contour here, let's go into the object viewer. And I'll flip it up on its edge, and there you can see what I've just graded. Well, now I want to change this. And this is using our grading. These are all polylines or 3D polylines. We could use feature lines also, but let's edit this grading now. I don't like it. So let's go edit grading. I can select on anything here. I edit the grading. And so what I want to do here now is I'm going to change this up. Let's go in here and say, yeah, let's just put this back to say 15. And maybe we might change our slopes here to say, let's go a 3-to-1 and a 4-to-1. Okay, so you can see that updating. And we're going to go OK again. And this is going to go through and update that grading. Now, when I select on this grading, you're going to see this grip. And this is that new feature I was telling you about. I can actually take that grip and I can move it. And you can see how this is dynamically going to update if I change that. Okay, so if I click on this, I've just now changed the slopes basically on that. And we can come in here. I think we got another one there. This is that 25 foot. So I can actually go in here and change that. Maybe I don't want it to be 25 or 15 foot. I'm going to click on this and I can change that. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly copy this. I'm going to copy this polyline here. Okay. So let's put that polyline over there. It's just another polyline. I'm going to make a change to it. Let's pull that out here like this. And there we go. Now we have a new feature in here called copy grading. So I'm going to click on it. The command line says select your grading element. So I'll grab this as my grading. And then, sorry, I didn't grab grading. So let's grab it again. Copy grading. I'm going to say let's grab this grading here. And I'm going to come over here and I want to copy it onto this polyline. Saying I want to copy it to the outside. I'm going to go all the way around. In this case, actually, I'm not. I'm going to say let's go from here to here. And there it's gone through and actually graded that. Now I want to edit this. I'm going to show you one other feature we've got. So if I edit this grading here, so let's grab this. We now have this feature here. It says draw grading transition. So right now it's the same all the way around. I'm going to click on this. And then I'm going to expand this out, this dialog box. Let's go ahead and expand this out. Now you'll see here I've got the start, slope is a -10. End slope is a -10. My start offset is 5.39. I'm going to change that to start of 3. And I'm going to say, let's end this at 7. Okay. Let's make it a little bit bigger here. Let's change it to 10. Okay. So there you can see that. Then same thing. I'm going to change this. So right now my slope here, let's change this to 2 to 1. And then let's just change this one to start of 2 to 1. And I'm going to finish off at a 4 to 1. Okay. And I'm just going to OK this. And it's going to go through and it's going to update this. And now you can see there, I've got this transitioning going on. So here I've got it at a 10 to 1 or 10% slope at 3 foot. Up in here, I've got a 10% slope at say 10 foot or whatever I changed it to. Okay. And the last thing in here is we can also split a grading. So if you want to actually then turn around and break that one up, I can actually go ahead and turn around and split this up. So let's grab it. It says where do you want to split it at? So I'll split it right there. And now I've just turned that into 2 separate grading entities. So now when I make changes to it, I will make changes to one of them at a time. Okay. So that's our grading. Next thing I want to show you is the join alignments command. So we can actually have 2 alignments. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and create 2 alignments. So I'm going to go a polyline here. And I'll do a polyline right here like that. They don't need to be touching. We're going to come up and we're going to create an alignment. Okay, so alignment from object. And I'm just going to call this one alignment number 1. And let's go ahead and do this one. And it is going to be alignment number 2. All right, so now I've got 2 alignments. So now we can come up to our briefcase. We can go over here and go join alignment. I'm going to go ahead and say I want to join this one and this one together. I'm going to press enter. And you want to join the profiles also. So if I had design profiles in here, I could also join those up. And I would say yes. And that's basically done. So now if I click on this, you'll actually see that it's highlighted, both of them. This one is still, the other one is still originally there. We're not deleting it. We're just creating a new one over the top of it. So now I could start editing it and throw in curves and stuff like that. But that will also update your existing ground profile and your finished ground. We'll join those together also. Okay. Create offset alignments. So there's a command in Civil 3D already to where you can take an alignment. So if I grab this alignment here, we can go offset alignments. And what you can do in here is you can actually set how many offsets you want and the distance. The problem with this is you get really 1. Okay. Yes, I could say give me 3, but they're all the exact same offset. So I wouldn't want to say give me 5 offsets on the right and 3 on the left, and then they're all being the exact same distance. So what we've done is with this new version here, we also have content sensitive. And so when I select on this, you'll see here I've got create alignment offset. This is the Kobe or the Topcon tools here. So if I go create offset alignment, here it comes up, says which alignment. I'll say this alignment right here. And same thing as I showed before, we have templates that we can use. So here's a template I've already got set up. So on the left-hand side, I'm going to go a 10, then 3, then 5, then 2. Okay, this isn't an offset from the center line. This is actually a width. So I'm going to say, let's do 10, then go out another 3, then go out 5, and then go out 2 from there. On the right-hand side, I've got, say, let's go out 10, let's then go out 8. I might actually want to add in maybe another one in there. So I could say, let's go in another one. And let's just call this one sidewalk underscore left in, I'll call it. And I'm going to say it's going to be 3 foot. And I'm going to go OK. And so let's just move that one. There it is. So 10, 3. And let's do another one here. Let's go sidewalk left out, I'm going to call it. And I'm going to make that one 5 foot. I'm going to go OK. And there it is. So now you've got it in. There's the lane in, lane out, and then the right of way here. So now that, and we can change the order of these. Okay, I'll turn around and save this. I'm going to call this one New Road. and I'm going to go okay. So now it's there for me to use the next time. I go okay, and there it's gone through and created those offsets. Okay, they are dynamic, so if I move the alignment in any way, you'll see that those alignments go with it. Okay. So that's a create offset alignments. The next one is create feature line, create from feature line. So I have a feature line here. So let's say this one here, it's a feature line. I want to create an alignment out of that. I can go create feature line, create from feature line. So if I select on this, and what this actually does, it's going to go ahead and create me alignment, and I'm going to call this one from feature. And it's also going to create me a profile based on that feature line elevation. And I'm going to go ahead and say create it. And I'm not going to worry about any labels in here. And we'll just throw this on, we'll just put it in major, minor only. And I'm just going to go okay. Okay, so it's created the alignment. Then the profile dialog box comes up. So I'm going to click on that. And let's just go ahead and pick a point here. And there is now your profile. That's all based on that feature line. Okay, the next tool is Polyline to XML. So this is a 3D polyline, okay? And this has elevations on it. And so what we've done is this is so you can maybe upload it into a data collector or something, but taking that 3D polyline, create a land XML file out of it, which will turn it into an alignment and a profile. And then I could bring it right back into the model if I wanted to. So we go Polyline to XML. Just wants to know where you want to put this thing. So I'm just going to say, we'll call it that one, Polyline to XML. The dialog box says, well, here it is. This is what you're going to do. I'm going to click on this. I'll say, let's grab that one right there. And I'm going to give this a name. I'm going to call this one Road 1B. Press enter. Wants to know what your starting station is. I'm going to say this one's 10 plus 00 there. And I'm just going to press enter to finish that off. And so here is this new one. I can get rid of this old one here. So there it is. And I can go save this. And it's now created this XML file for me. And like I said, if I want to bring this back in, it'll bring it back in right over the top as an alignment with the profile associated to it. Okay, so that's alignments. Moving on, we're into profiles now. So we can create a offset profile. So this is very handy if you're having to pass this, drawing over to somebody else that doesn't have Civil 3D, and when you turn it, export it out as an AutoCAD, it creates blocks out of everything. And when you explode it, they're individual items. So what you can do here is you can go create offset profile. I can select my existing ground, and then you can specify what you're going to do here. So do you want a profile or do you want it just as a polyline? So I'm going to say just as a polyline in this case. And then it wants to know what the offset is. I want to go right back over the top of it. I'm going to go 0. Okay. I just want it set right on the top, but it's going to be a polyline. I go okay, and there you go. Now I've got a polyline right over the top of my existing ground profile. So now if I exported this out to AutoCAD, this would come across as a polyline and not a block that I would explode. Next thing over is create multiple profiles. This is one of our newest tools here. So if I go into this drawing here you can see I've got 5 different alignments. And so if I was to do this in the old way or Civil 3D, I'd go ahead and create an existing ground profile for each one of those. Then I'd do a finished ground profile. So what we can do is we can do all that stuff in one command. So here we're going to come up here to create multiple profiles. And this dialog box shows us all of our alignments. So I've got 4 alignments in there. I said 5, but yeah, there is only 4. Then here, I'm going to add my surface. So let's say I want to add in my XG surface. And can specify the style here. So existing ground, no labels, and whether this is going to be positioned in the middle. Now we do have the option down here to create stack profiles, okay, which will create you a profile for the left side or the right side. I'm not going to do that in this case. The profile name, so it's going to be called the exact same name as the alignment, the surface, and then VP123. You can call this whatever you want. You can wipe that out and name it whatever. So I'm going to do that. I'm just going to call mine FG. Then the offset profile, so I'm going to say 200. Your profile view, I'm going to say, is going to be my profile view, and it's going to be stations only. Then I'm going to create finished ground profile. And what this is going to do is this is going to go through and create a profile from the start to the end of the alignment. And it's going to tie into the existing ground. And sorry, this is actually my EG, not my finished ground. And so, and I'm going to put in there next counter too. Okay, so let's just copy that up there. So EG next counter. This one's going to use the design profile and the complete label set. Okay, everything's good. I'm done here. If I want to create that stacked, all I have to do is click on that. All I want to do is go OK. It's going to say pick your insertion point, and there it's gone through, and it's now created the existing ground profile, and it's created me a finished ground profile from the start to the end, tying into the existing ground. And this just makes it easier. So if I now want to make an edit to this, I would just select it, come up to the ribbon, go Geometry Editor, and now I can go ahead and make all the edits that I want to. So here and here, I can do that. Oh, now I want to make some edits to this one. I click on it. It automatically changes over to the new profile, and now I can start making changes to this one. Okay, same thing. Come on down here and can do the same. Okay, so we'll get out of that. So that was create multiple profiles, label, feature line, and profile view. We're going to go back to our original model here. And this is the feature line. So this feature line that I had here earlier, that I created the alignment over the top. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. Here's the feature line. So you can see I've got a grade there, a 0.98 and 0.68. If I was to label this feature line in this profile right now, it would label what the grade is displayed here, not what the true grade of the feature line is, because it's skewed here. So what we wanted to do is give you the ability to label the true grade of that feature line. And that's what this does. Label feature line and profile view. It says select your profile view. All right, so this come up. I'm going to say grade. I'm going to go, it's going to be standard text. The height of it, whether it's going to be percentage and then an offset from the line. I'm just going to go OK. It's going to say select your feature line, which is this one. And there you go, 0.98. 0.65. If I come on over in here, there you can now see the same grades. Okay. All right, moving on. We're over here into the corridor section editor. So the corridor section editor allows me to edit this corridor. And instead of using the section editor in Civil 3D, I want to use the cross sections that I have here. So if I zoom in here, I'm going to just have a quick look. And so I can see in here, I want to make some changes. I want to go from, say, station 7 here. I want to widen that out from station 7 to 9, okay, on the left-hand side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just turn on all my layers here real quick. Okay, so let's just unthaw all of our layers. We should have some lines on here. So one of the features, I'm going to jump over into a couple other features over here real quick first, is I'm going to say section 7 here is where I want to widen this out. When I do that, I have an option here. It says zoom to view, section view, or zoom to the profile. If I click on that, it automatically takes me the appropriate cross section. If I escape, I select on this, I got the same thing. I can zoom to the alignment or I can zoom to the profile. It'll take you right to that profile. Because your model gets a lot of different cross sections in here and profiles and corridors, you never know where you're at. And so this allows me to quickly jump around. So same thing, I'm going to come up here. I don't know where I'm at really. I'm going to go zoom to the alignment, and there it brought me right back to the alignment. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to widen this out once again from station 7 to 9. Okay, so I'm going to grab that. I'm going to go zoom to that section. There it is. Now we're going to come up here. I'm going to escape. We're going to go here to corridor section editor. And it says select your view. So this is the view. When you do that, you can see everything else turned white. And what I want to edit is this lane on the left-hand side. That's all I want to edit. So I'm going to click on the lane. The dialog box comes up. So it automatically knows I have the left lane here. And so here's all the properties to do with that assembly. And so I'm going to say, hey, the width here, let's make this width here a width of, say, 6. Okay. And I'm going to say, give me a preview of it because I want to see what happens when I did. Oh, yep, that's what it's going to look like if I widen this out to 6. Great. Well, let's do that clear to station 9. Okay. So I'm going to widen that all the way out. But before I do that, what I want to do is I'm going to say I want to do a transition in. So I want a length of, say, 100 foot going in, and then a length of, say, 75 going out. Okay? I could specify a station too if I wanted to. So unlike Civil 3D, when I do a widening, it's going to widen right at that one location. I don't have the option to do a transition. I would have to tie into another alignment or something. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to hit on Rebuild here. I'm going to go Apply, and then I'm going to go Close. And now you can see that's updated there. And so if I jump on over into here, you're going to see that's wider too. Let's grab it in here. There's 975. Now I'm probably back to normal. Well, let's just go have a look at this. So let's select this. Same thing. Let's go to the alignment. And now you'll see there at station 9 is where you can see that taper going down to 975. We go down here to the end. There's at 7. You can start to see the taper here. And we're tapering right on around the curve. So we're doing the algorithm for you to make sure that you're transitioning all the way around this curve down to the 7 plus 0, 0. Okay. All right, so the next thing I want to look at is the corridor spreadsheet editor. This is a way to be able to make some quick, easy edits to your corridor instead of having to go into the corridor properties all the time. And that can be really time consuming if you've got a very, very large corridor. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to select this corridor. I'm going to go Corridor Spreadsheet Editor. And what's going to happen, it's going to bring up a dialog box that's going to show me the corridor. Okay, so here you can see there's the corridor, the baseline, the region. There's your road. There's your profile. And I can go in here and change it. We're automatically exporting out all this data in here. There's the assembly. Okay, so I can go in there and pick a completely different assembly. There's my start station, my end station, and there's my frequencies, how often I've got cross sections. If I come on down here, I've got targets. And I might want to go in here and say, well, you know, I want to change this to a completely different surface. Now, there's one. I could go all the way down and do that. Or I could come up here and you go Assign to all surface targets. And there I've gone through and set that. So if I had 100 in here, it would quickly set all those. But in Civil 3D, just by clicking in the drop-down list can take a while because it's analyzing the model every time to see what's in there. So in this way, it's very quick. Say, that's what I want. I'm going to apply it to all of them. Do that. If I wanted to add a target, like a width target, I can do kind of the same thing here. So if I'm saying, hey, I've got a super elevation here on the left-hand side. Now, unfortunately, I've only got one in this case on the left and right. But I could go through here and say, hey, let's go find an alignment that I want to use. And then this one would allow me to set that target to the exact same assembly. So lane, super elevation, the width target. I could set that all the way down. Okay. What I want to do, just to quickly show you how this works, but we've also got our surfaces tab, all the alignments that are in the model, and all the assemblies in the model. So what I want to do just quickly to do this, I'm going to say, hey, let's just change this to 850. Okay, just right there, 850. And I'm going to rebuild this corridor now just to stop at 850. All I do is go Apply and Close. And there you go. Now you can see that's actually brought that back to 850. But I could easily have taken this thing and taken it into a brand new model that actually has that. So that's the whole idea behind this, is to be able to take these corridors and you can save this out as a template. And I can open up a brand new model and refresh it with all the appropriate alignments and everything from the new model. And then I just go in and say, hey, I just need to change my alignment here. I want to change my start station, end station. So very quickly you can do that and regenerate a new corridor in a new model. Okay. All right, so we're getting close here. Label assemblies, pretty straightforward. There's some assemblies. We go in here to label assemblies. You can specify if you want to do them all or a selection, what text style you're using, the text height, an X and a Y offset. I just go okay, and there's put those labels on there. This is dynamic, so if you make a change to the label and change its name, this will automatically update for you also. Now, piping is probably one of our biggest things, is we get a lot of feedback with our piping. And so our pipe editor is probably the most popular tool we have. And so here is a big long run. Now, if I was to use Civil 3D to make some edits here, I'd be grabbing a, a pipe, possibly making a edit there, and I can also grab it, change it here, and it's going to update, but it's not going to update all the way down. Now I would have to change this one and that one and so on and so forth. So a lot of time-consuming work there. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use our tool. I'm going to show you how this works. I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to come up here to Pipe Editor. The command line says select your first part. So I'm going to say that part there, and I want to edit all the way to that part right there. And as you can see in the background, you see everything's all highlighted. So I can go in here and I can change the elevation if I wanted to. I could change the slope, or I could change the drop. Right now, this is grayed out the elevation. But if I wanted to unlock one of these and then say, hey, I want to really set this, then one of the others is going to have to change. Okay. So I don't really want that. I'm going to use, I'm going to take that one. I'm going to use these. And so what I want to do here is say, hey, let's set this grade at 1.7. And then I'm going to set the drop at 0.1. And so you can see how it's going to look now. So I've set that whole entire thing to have the same grade, and now I've got to drop the same. But now look what's happening here. What we can do is I can say, hey, lock everything else downstream. So I just go lock it. Where do you want to lock it to? I'll go to that one. And there you can see it's going to hold the grades and the drops, and it's just going to move it down so it ties in with the other. And I can just go apply and it'll update it. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to show you if you just have to make one quick edit. So let's say this one. So let's go in here again, Pipe Editor. Let's say I want to modify that pipe there. I'm going to set that grade at 2.5. There it is. Now let's do a little bit more there. Let's go to 5. Now look at everything else downstream. I can now say, hey, let's lock that. Let's just pull it all the way down here. And now you can see what's going to happen. Once again, it's holding the grade of the original pipes and the drops. All I'm doing is just moving it down so it ties in with my new pipe. Okay. Once again, you just hit apply and it'll update the whole thing. We're going to come back to Structure Editor. If I want to swap multiple parts here, let's come back up here and let's go swap multiple parts. And I can say I want to start here and I want to swap it out clear to here. And this dialog box comes up showing you have 7 parts. So I can say there's my structure, family, and size. I'm going to say keep the existing ones. I don't want to change any of my structures, but I do want to change the pipes. And I'm going to say, can you change all those pipes to 525s? And I'm going to go okay. And you're going to now see these pipes in the middle there. They all got larger right there. Okay. So that's our tool. Civil 3D has a swap parts now in profile, but you can't do multiple ones. Okay. The next thing I want to show you is the level service network. So I'm going to come in here to the laterals here. And I've got 2 networks here. I'm just going to show you what this looks like. So this is my 2 networks. So I'm going to flip it up on its edge. So you can see I got a main line going through there. And then I created a network with all the side laterals, okay, service connections. But as you can see there, none of them are tying into the actual main line, okay? So that's what this is. So if we come up here, swap multiple parts and select level service network, the dialog box comes up. It says, what's your main network? And I'm going to say it's my sewer main. And then my surface network is, I'm going to say it's my lateral. We can add a vertical offset, which I'm not going to do, so I'll leave that at 0. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, hey, I want to set the grade of these laterals. I want to tie this pipe into that pipe. But when I do that, I want to make sure this thing is set at, say, 2%. Now, if I didn't want to do that, I could uncheck that box, and all it's going to do is tie this pipe into this pipe. That's all it's going to do. It's going to leave this as is. So if that's correct, great. I'm going to go ahead and set it here. So I'm going to go okay, and that's it. Nothing else to do. If I grab this now, let's just have a look at it. Flip it up on its edge, and now you should see every single one of those pipes now is tying into the main, and it's going at 2%. Okay. Then, if I wanted to, I'm going to show you that drop. So let's go back in here, level service network. This time I'm not going to do the entire thing, so I'm going to say it is lateral, but I'm just going to do selected pipes. Let's say just those there. And I am going to say, hey, let's get a drop in here of 5. All right, same thing. Going to go in here, grab it. Let's have a look at it. And we should now see the middle pipe should be off of, so that's a 5-foot drop down to that pipe. Okay, but it's still set it at that 2% grade. All right, some other things that we have in here. If we come in here, we can create points from structures. I'll show you that in a moment. We can reverse a pipe, and that's strictly just changing the grade on it. So here, if I've got a pipe, you can reverse it in Civil 3D, but it doesn't actually change the grade for you. And so what we want to do is change that grade. And so that's what that will do, is reverse that pipe. We'll reverse the start and the end, and also reverse the grade. Convert lines to pipes, we'll do that in a moment too. The create structures and the structure report. So let's jump into that one. So I'm going to go into my what's called pipe as built. So I have some points in here. So what I'm going to do, I wanted to use this one, create structures from points, not points from structures. So create structures from points. I'm going to grab all those. And I'm going to say, yeah, create a network called network 1, and I want to use the storm sewer part list. It's going to bring up a dialog box. Right now I've got it set here, so CP, and we can actually create some mappings of our own. So I'm going to say, hey, whenever you find a CP, that is actually going to be a rectangular junction, let's say. It's going to be a 24-inch by 24-inch catch basin. And then the MH is going to be a concentric cylinder structure, and it's going to be a 48-inch diameter, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and save this. I'm going to say this is, yep, my mapping sounds good. So now I've created that mapping. If I uncheck this box, it'll actually show me every single point, and I could go through and manually pick what each point is, but I like this automatic mapping. Down below, we can set structure name from selected data. So if you've got some user-defined properties in these points, you can grab a certain property and say that's the name of it. And if you've got multiple points that make up a manhole, we can do a buffer radius and find the point and assign the correct point as the elevation. All I'm going to do here is go OK, and it's now going to create structures on all of those. Okay, great. Now I've got some polylines here. What I want to do is these polylines were just drawn in the direction of the flow. So that's the most important thing. I'm now going to convert those into pipes. So we're going to come back up here. We're going to go convert lines to pipes. I'm going to go ahead and just window all of them. Okay, dialog box comes up. So same network, saying it's going to be my storm sewer. What pipe do you want to create in here? So I'm going to say it's a concrete pipe, and I'm going to say they're 12 inches. Okay, 12-inch pipe, because they're all going to be the same, and then I can modify them later. And then I'm not worried about the structures because I've already got structures on there. My surface name, don't really have one in here. This is as built as if I've got a field book dip sheet here. I'm going to erase the existing entities, and I'm not going to use the vertex elevations in this case. All right. And so let's go OK, because they're not in 3D. So it's going to go through, and it's going to create some pipes here for me, and there's my pipes. So now we come to the structure editor. And so the structure editor is, like I said, we've got a field book. You're looking at a field book, and you just know what the invert is for this pipe. You know the invert of this pipe, and you know the invert of this pipe, because it's all being written down from the one manhole. And so that's why we designed it this way. So if we go to structure editor, I select this manhole, and here comes the dialog box. So in here, you can see all the inverts. So right now, you can see, well, I've got a invert here. This says it's a -4. But if I jump around, you can see which one I'm talking about. So this one here, I'm going to say, let's set an invert here. I can see my rim level here. I'm going to set this one at, say, let's go 48. I'm going to set this one a little bit lower because it's the one going out. So I'm going to go 47.9. And like I say, I have this written down already in a field book. If you didn't have it written down, you can always use this calculator that we have here. And this calculator will allow you to go in and calculate it. So if you've got the angle, the measurement, what your rim level is, and if you get a laser offset, we can calculate that invert for you. So now that I've got that in there, this main line here, so if I jump through this, you can see this is the main one. I don't want it to be a 12-inch pipe. That one's really a 36-inch pipe, okay? And now all we're going to do is we're just going to come over here to the next structure, and we're just going to double click on it. And this is going to take me right to that structure. And so same thing. Well, here's my out pipe. So let's just change this, and I don't want this to be a negative flow, so it's going to be 47.5, let's say. Okay, and there you can see the slope on it. And let's go. This one is 47.9, and we'll do the same for all of these. 47.9 and 47.9. Okay, and same thing. I would want to change the pipe that's going out, which is this one here. So let's make that one also a 36-inch. I'm going to click on the 7. And it's automatically going to take me right down here to this one. So now I can make my changes to this one. So that one is a, let's go 47 even. This is the one that's coming in there. So let's make this one a little lower, 46.9, and make this one 47. Okay. And when that's all done, basically we've modified all this stuff. We could change the rim levels, change structures. We just go ahead and get out of this, and I've now just created that pipe network. Okay, all that stuff is updated. All right, so going back in here, so now if I wanted to, at this point is where I could use that create points on structure. So all that's going to do is go through and create me a point on all of those manholes now. Okay. And structure report, when I'm done, I can grab my manholes. I can specify what I want to call this. So it's going to be just my structure report here. And I'll just open this one up since I've already done it before. So let's open this report up. And this is basically what it exports out. So it gives us our rim elevation, our northing and easting, the inverts of the pipes, the sizes, and the connecting structures. Okay, just a simple little report. Okay. All right, moving on is 2 more areas left. So we're going to do the create utility crossing analysis. So let's go back into our original model here. And here's all the pipe runs and stuff. So I'm just going to quickly turn off a few of these things again. So let's turn off these cross sections. And I've already got some points in here. So I'm going to create some more. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go here to create utility crossing analysis. And so here we can go create crossing analysis. And when we do this, the dialog box is going to come up and it's going to show us every single pipe network that we have in this model. So I've got 3 pressure and then one pressure and 3 gravity systems. It's going to create a point style. We can draw some crossing verticals. I'm not going to do that. It's just basically drawing a line from the one pipe to the other. And I'm going to say, just give me the description only of this. And so if I go OK, it's going to give you a little warning for a pressure network. So if a pressure pipe is a curve, we want to make sure you calculate that. But now you can see here, I've got a point, storm sewer, storm sewer. If I move this around, this structure here, let's move it over here. You're going to see the point stayed there. All I have to do is come back up here and say, update the utility crossings, and now you can see that point moved. So what you're seeing here is storm is the upper pipe and sewer is the lower pipe. And so now what I want to do is I want to have a look at these. So if I grab this point here real quick, and if I come in and I just go into, grab the point, let's right click here, go edit points. And there's this point. And so just to show you what we've actually done, so you can put these points in a table if you wanted to. If I slide this on down near the end, you can actually see, I've got a lot of data in here. So there's your bottom elevation. So I've got a lot of stuff here. Let's come on over here. So there's our bottom elevation of the top network. And there's your bottom network and the top elevation. So basically it's saying, give me the bottom of the top pipe, and then I want the top of the bottom pipe. So that's the invert and the crown there. And that's what we have, the difference there. And it will actually give you the difference down at the end. And so all this data is available to you in a point group. And if you wanted to, you can erase all those Kogo points when you're done if you didn't really want those in there anymore. Okay. And then the create pipe depth analysis, what that is I can go in and I can show all the different depths of the pipes that I have in this model. So let's come back up here. Let's go create pipe depth analysis. And it says select your first part in the profile view. So I'll say there. And then it says select your last part, which is there. Okay. Here's the dialog box. If I go into the settings real quick, these are the different depths I'm going to show, but I'm going to add in some more. I want to say, let's go 0 to 2. I want to see all the data there. Let's add that in there. So 0 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 6, 6 to 8, and 8 to 10. Right? And I want the pipe to the top of the pipe. Okay, the position. So I want to know the depth to the top of that pipe. Actually, no, I'll change that to the invert. That's what I want to know. So let's go OK. I can label the lengths. I can do a report table, and I can draw a graph. I'm not going to do the graph. I'm going to just say what's the text style I'm using is standard. Table style is legend. Let's just go OK. At the command line, it says select your label reference line. So there. It says where do you want to insert the table? I'm going to go there. And here's my little table. So it shows me the majority of my job is between 4 and 6 feet. I've got 238 foot of pipe, 23%, and I've got 18 structures here. 68% of the job is between 2 and 4 foot. Okay. If I come over in here, I have labels. So this is showing me from that area there. Now it looks like it's going from manhole to manhole, but it's not. It's saying that from there to there is 2 to 4 foot for 43 feet. But as you'll notice here, this is not at the manhole. We calculate exactly where those depths are changing. So in this case, this is between the 4 and 6 foot. So at right here, at this point here, it changes from 4 foot. It goes up above 4 foot to 6 foot. And then right in here, it's starting to change back, I think, to 2 to 4 foot. So right at that one location here, we're not over 4 foot anymore, and all this in there. Okay. And then we also have the ability to update this analysis if your pipes change, and also erase it. So you can do that. All right, the last set of tools really here is, come over here is the visibility. And so what I want to do is I want to just turn off some of these things because we get a lot of them in there. And if I turn off these cross sections, I'm going to turn these cross sections off. If I turn off the layer for this profile, I'm going to turn off all the profiles. So what we've got, if I select on a profile view here, I can come up here to the ribbon and I can go hide selected, and it turns off that one item. Well, I'm going to do the same thing with these cross sections. So I'm going to select the cross section. I'm going to go hide selected, and you'll notice it turned all those off, but it left these. We can do the same thing with a corridor. No one ever plots a corridor. I can escape, I can select it, and I can go hide selected. Now, all we've done is we've changed the style possibly to a no display style if we have it, or we've actually created a layer and put it on that. Now I can come back in here and I can go show everything. So I can go show all, and it turns everything else back on that I turned off before. Then I can go into Visibility Manager also. And here in the Visibility Manager, I can actually see, I can turn things on and off manually through this. We can turn off the points, anything like that. And this is only doing it for the Civil 3D objects. Okay, this doesn't have just normal AutoCAD items in here. These are all your 3D entities that you can turn on and off. Okay. And the last command is the Section Navigator. And if I click on Section Navigator, it brings up this little dialog box. You can see you've got your different sections. If I just start walking through this, it'll actually take you right to the actual cross section in your drawing. It's not bringing up an editor. So I can go and grab this job and I can walk right through these. You can also change the view. So I want to zoom into that. And I start walking through it, it'll zoom into that. These are actually using the Civil 3D cross sections that you already have in your model, so it's not having to take you out of it. This concludes this video on Topcon Civil 3D Briefcase.